security stopped the Duchess. 1 minute, Meghan Markle was stepping out of a sleek black SUV outside the Beverly Wilshire Hotel for the 50th anniversary Gracie Awards. The next, she was frozen mid-stride, eyes locked on 2 clipboard-wielding guards who refused to unhook the velvet rope. Photographers clicked in rapid bursts, capturing a split-second transformation, from poised royal-era glamour to startled disbelief, as a guard murmured, "You're not on the list, ma'am." Within hours, TikTok reels of the standoff were racking up millions of views under blunt captions such as, "When the crown doesn't scan at security." What played out in that 90-second meltdown was more than a simple RSVP snafu. It was Hollywood delivering a public verdict on a woman who once commanded global sympathy, but has lately watched that goodwill curdle into eye-roll emojis. And the shock of seeing a former working royal denied entry to a Women in Media gala was only the opening scene of a story that winds through canceled projects, lost deals, silent allies, and a rebrand now teetering on the edge of irrelevance. Eyewitnesses say the exchange lasted barely a minute and 15 seconds. Meghan gave her name. The guard rifled through pages. An aide whipped out a phone, scrolling frantic emails. Another guard leaned in, shook his head, and the velvet rope stayed shut. The Duchess insisted she'd been invited, even slated for an onstage cameo. Security didn't budge. Paparazzi, sensing lightning in a bottle, tightened their zoom lenses. By the time Meghan retreated to the curb, the footage was already uploading from camera rolls to social feeds around the globe. YouTube thumbnails screamed, "Humiliated," while TikTok creators spliced the clip with audio from "You Can't Sit With Us," turning her halted walk into a meme template for every brand of public rejection imaginable. But was it a tragic mix-up or deliberate payback? The answer depends on which Hollywood corridor you tap for whispers. Either way, the damage was instant. Every uncomfortable glance, every whispered phone call, every stiff half-smile is now archived in 4K, and that viral humiliation set off a fresh round of questions about how and whether Meghan Markle still fits into the entertainment ecosystem she so publicly courted. Rewind 2 years. In 2022, Netflix quietly axed Pearl, Meghan's animated series about a history-obsessed 12-year-old girl, amid corporate belt-tightening and, later, a plagiarism complaint from a British children's author who said the premise echoed her own Pearl Power books. The next summer, Page Six leaked that Taylor Swift had passed on a personal, handwritten invitation to appear on Meghan's Archetypes podcast. The rejection landed with a thud heard across pop culture Twitter and chipped away at the notion that the Duchess could tap any A-lister at will. Then came May 2023's near-catastrophic car chase claim in Manhattan. Harry and Meghan alleged paparazzi tailed them for more than 2 hours. The NYPD downplayed the danger, and photographers on the scene called the couple's description hyperbole. The discrepancy fueled talk show punchlines and cast doubt on the Sussexes' grip on narrative truth. Finally, Spotify parted ways after paying a reported $20 million for 1 season of Archetypes. Executives hinted, off-record, that the show lacked sustained creative direction, while critics roasted Meghan for allegedly adding her own voice in post-production, rather than conducting some interviews herself. Each stumble chipped paint off the once gleaming modern royalty breaks barriers brand. By the time the Gracie Awards rolled around, insiders say patience at agencies, studios, and streaming platforms had thinned to a thread. Inside the ballroom that night, the reaction to Meghan's absence was not horror, but bemused shrug. A veteran producer reportedly clinked a champagne flute and whispered, "Guess this isn't Buckingham Palace." No one raced to social media with a Stand With Meghan hashtag. Not even the usual clutch of activist actresses fired off supportive Instagram stories. In an industry where silence equals sentencing, the quiet was deafening. Part of the chill stems from risk math. With Netflix subscriber growth plateauing and studio budgets squeezed, celebrity partnerships now face Wall Street-style scrutiny. Executives ask a brutal question: does the name add more positive press than negative? One WME insider, quoted after rumors the powerhouse agency dropped Meghan for being too demanding, framed it bluntly: "There's just no upside anymore." Sources close to the Gracie Planning Committee insist the Duchess never returned her final appearance contract. She and her team, they say, assumed brand gravity would pull doors open. Organizers, already jittery about overshadowing honorees such as Jane Fonda and Nicole Kidman, quietly scrubbed Meghan's name from the run of show days before the gala and flagged security. It isn't the first time protocol friction has dogged her reputation. Staff turnover at Frogmore Cottage, the abrupt step-down email to Buckingham courtiers in 2020, and the headline-grabbing Oprah interview where she and Harry recounted private royal conversations, all fed a storyline that Meghan plays by her own rules. Critics call it boundary crossing. Supporters brand it disruption. Either way, Hollywood has grown wary of betting budgets on a figure who can ignite controversy faster than a publicist can draft a statement. Yet quitting is not in Meghan's playbook. In March 2025, she resurfaced with Confessions of a Female Founder, a Lemonada-produced podcast where she trades entrepreneurial war stories with women like Spanx mogul Sarah Blakely. Running parallel is With Love, Meghan, a Netflix unscripted series that brings guests to a sun-washed Montecito estate for cooking, gardening, and hosting tutorials. Episode 1's viral moment, Meghan's unconventional pineapple cutting hack, which dominated Reels for a week. Behind those glossy frames is, as ever, her newly relaunched lifestyle brand, rebranded from the short-lived American Riviera orchard. As Ever now sells artisanal jams, linens, and tableware through a passive Netflix partnership, meaning Meghan supplies vision, while the streamer handles fulfillment. On paper, it's a clean pivot from royal confessional to Martha Stewart meets Goop territory, but every blueprint requires industry allies, shelf space, and forgiving audiences, luxuries that shrink each time headlines overshadow product. And as one streaming exec, speaking off record, quipped, "Lifestyle only works if people like the life you're selling." When sympathy turns to satire, it rarely swings back. The TikTok that first broke the Gracie footage hit 4 million views in 24 hours, then spawned a cottage industry of remixes, slow-motion replays scored to Bad Blood, side-by-side shots of Meghan's royal wedding entrance versus her Gracie non-entrance, even AI-generated voiceovers of Queen Elizabeth deadpanning. Denied. Comment sections brimmed with laughing, crying emoji chains. Influencers who once cited Meghan as a feminist icon quietly pivoted to other causes, calling her exhausting brand drama. Data from social listening firm BuzzPulse, mid-May snapshot, shows a 31% jump in negative sentiment toward Meghan year over year, with the biggest spike tied to the car chase controversy, the Spotify split, and the Gracie humiliation. It's the trifecta of skepticism, credibility, creative output, and likability, each ding amplifying the next. This isn't the first time a star has watched a pedestal wobble. Robert Downey Jr. went from tabloid disaster to Marvel linchpin. Britney Spears reclaimed global adoration after a 13-year conservatorship. Hollywood loves a comeback. When the protagonist shows humility, delivers new value, and builds alliances instead of burning them. Meghan still holds undeniable assets: global name recognition, a Netflix first-look deal, the Duchess styling she refuses to relinquish, and a household brand spouse who remains genuinely popular in US polls. But the bankable question is leverage. Power in Hollywood isn't a tiara. It's goodwill, consistency, and numbers on a spreadsheet. When agencies whisper headline risk, those spreadsheets close fast. If With Love, Meghan pulls healthy completion rates and As Ever converts curious browses into purchases, she could flip the script. If the show sputters and the pineapple hack vanishes from For You pages, Meghan's reemergence may stall before it clears the runway. The image of a security guard barring Meghan Markle from the Gracie Awards door captures a turning point more vividly than any op-ed. It distills a painful truth. Influence is rented, not owned, and the rent is paid in credibility. For a brief window, the Duchess of Sussex turned royal upheaval into Netflix deals, Spotify contracts, and magazine cover empathy. But goodwill, like camera flashes, fades quickly when the storyline stops evolving. So, has Meghan Markle hit the last act or the prelude to reinvention? The answer hinges on whether she can translate polished sound bites into tangible value, stories that resonate, products that deliver, a public posture that feels earned rather than entitled. Audiences and Hollywood gatekeepers have shown they'll still watch, if only to see what happens next. But red carpets don't roll out for figures who forget to RSVP, and narratives don't stay sympathetic when evidence mounts that the star may believe her own hype more than her audience does. If Meghan can rebuild on humility, discipline, and genuinely compelling content, she could yet stage a Downey-size rebound. If not, that 90-second clip outside the Gracies will stand as the cautionary emblem of fame without follow-through, a velvet rope, a clipboard, and a once invincible brand stopped cold at the door.